I have a question for every one of y'all, whether you're in the left, right, or center. But this question is really, really meant for the left. Should the left allow Donald Trump to destroy Obamacare? I have mixed feelings on it, but I digress, and I have something to say about it until the meantime. But first, since we all know that Donald Trump wants the Supreme Court to destroy Obamacare, because let's face it, you have to look at you have to look at the fact that a Republican Congress during the Obama years and a Republican Congress during the first 2 years of the Trump presidency managed to not destroy Obamacare. And in my opinion, I really don't think Donald Trump is going to end up destroying Obamacare. But we need to go back to the very beginning. There was a time when the Democratic Party was more of an FDR New Deal party, and this was before the Clinton takeover, the Clintons taking over the party around 89, 90, when Bill Clinton became the head of the Democratic Leadership Council. I keep talking about the Democratic Leadership Council, and a lot of people are like, what the F is the Democratic Leadership Council? They are an organization that, as I said time and time again, literally Reaganized the Democratic Party. They wanted the appeal to the center. What it happened ended up they moved away from the New Deal labor union consensus and ended up embracing a soft form of Reaganism. Around that time in 1989, when it was I would say from the days of Roosevelt till around the time of Michael Dukakis, the Democratic Party was more or less on record of supporting single payer or national health insurance. It was called for many years. Harry Truman was a strong advocate of it. John F. Kennedy was an advocate of it. Lyndon Johnson was too. It was compromised into Medicare. Um, and I mean, Humphrey. Okay. Roosevelt was in favor of it. Harry Truman tried to push for it. Adlai Stevenson was in favor of it. John F. Kennedy was in favor of it. Lyndon Johnson was in favor of it, but it manifested into Medicare and Medicaid, which was a step forward when it happened. If I have to say there's anything great about the Great Society, its greatest achievement, other than civil rights for all people, regardless of race, another reform that was also wonderful as a result of the Great Society was Medicare and Medicaid. Hubert Humphrey was for it, George McGovern, Jimmy Carter, Walter Mondale, Michael Dukakis. By 1992, when the corporatists and more conservative-leaning Democrats moved the party away from its New Deal roots, they were willing to keep private health insurance in the system. Now, in 1989, the Heritage Foundation wanted to put a stop to national health insurance, what would become known for many years as single payer, and we call it Medicare for All today. They wanted to put a stop to that. So they came up with a healthcare policy of their own, which basically their solution was to make it mandated that everybody buy private health insurance. Problem solved. Not because they were concerned that people without health insurance were going to suffer. It was because they were largely bought and paid for by private health insurance special interests. Unfortunately, many of the private health insurance special interests crept their way into buying many Democrats too. It was offered during the Bill Clinton presidency as an alternative to Hillary Care. Now, Hillary Clinton did not get rid of her plan, did not get rid of the insurance companies. It kind of put the insurance companies on a leash. I thought it was a weak plan myself at the time. Congressman Chuck Grassley of Iowa, Senator Orrin Hatch of Utah, and Congressman Newt Gingrich, who became Speaker of the House later, all were big proponents of this health care plan, and they were floating it around in Congress. And of course, they stopped talking about health care once the Republicans and many conservative Democrats, and actually, strangely enough, quite a few left wing Democrats and one particular independent, Bernie Sanders, thought Hillary Care was not adequate, and all for different reasons. I was glad that Hillary Care was put to a stop because I favor universal socialized medicine, the real McCoy. Well, Democrats would not talk about healthcare for many years, or talk about it the way it should be talked about. And they did everything they could to silence single payer. They didn't want to be associated with the single payer movement. Jump forward to the year 2008 when Hillary Clinton accused Barack Obama of being for single payer. Now, it was a time when Barack Obama, I believe as a state senator in Illinois, favored single payer. But, he also ended up succumbing to the corporatist conservative way that the Democratic Party ended up siding with the corporatists. It would have been nice that Obama would have kept his support of single payer. On a side note, when Donald Trump was a more liberal person 20 some years ago, believe it or not, he was a fan of single payer. Barack Obama and Donald Trump had that in common. They were both in favor of single payer at one time, and they both know today that single payer or Medicare for all is the way to go. But Obama was a pussy, and he didn't want to be called a socialist. And for all you Tea Partiers, he was not a socialist. Obamacare, he was opposed to single payer. Trump also wanted to throw red meat and show how much of a right wing asshole he can be. So he ditched his former position on healthcare. And both men are jerks for doing that. Well, when Obama became president, he decided, and in the mild defense of Obama, he wanted to unite both Democrats and Republicans. I think he wanted to be a conciliatory figure. And so he decided, Mitt Romney put that healthcare plan in 2006 in Massachusetts. It was called Romneycare, that Heritage Foundation plan. Well, Obama figured, well, if Democrats and Republicans in Massachusetts can agree on that particular approach, let's try that on the national level. Well, he did it as a compromise position. And all of a sudden, the Republicans and the Heritage Foundation and the right wing, who was in favor of this plan as a free market approach toward single payer, all of a sudden it was socialism on the march, which it wasn't. But to make a long story short, even the public option was considered too radical, and the Republicans forced Obama and the Democrats to water down that healthcare plan in the hopes that it would pass, and not when Republicans ended up supporting it at the end of the day. So the Republicans tricked the Democrats into owning a reform that many were divided on and fully did not embrace. And so this is why Obamacare had a kind of a watered down start, unstable start. And it was unstable from then on to now. But the Tea Party grew, and they supposedly were against the Affordable Care Act, but they really weren't, because when the Republicans took over the House and then eventually the U.S. Senate during the Obama years, Obamacare was not repealed. They like it. They're glad that the Democrats did it because they want the insurance companies to be more powerful. I'm going to tell you, all you conservative Republicans out there listening to this, let me tell you, Donald Trump and the Republicans are not interested. They're going to put on a grandstanding how they favored getting rid of the Affordable Care Act, but they're not interested at all in getting rid of the Affordable Care Act. Mark my words, because it was taken to the Supreme Court during the Obama years. Judge John Roberts was the deciding vote to keep the Affordable Care Act as constitutional. See, the Affordable Care Act has Republican fingerprints all over it, all over the place. During the time when the Affordable Care Act was being drafted, was opposed to it because, um, although I am as a socialist or a social democrat, I'm not, I'm, I, I'm not usually that much of a purist. I'm not favoring worker absolute worker ownership of industries in the way that some dogmatic Marxists would. I mean, I'm pretty standard European style social democrat. I talk about myself for a second. If I lived in the UK, I would be a middle of the road British Labour Party member, or a middle of the road social democrat in Sweden, or a middle of the road socialist in France. You get the idea, I think. In any Western democracy, I will belong to a socialistic center left party. Um, but anyway, the one area where I am dogmatic and sectarian on, as a leftist, is universal health care. At a minimum, you got to get rid of the private health insurance companies. You got to shut them down. And I think the single payer is national health insurance, is the Medicare system as we know it, expanded the entire population. And that is, at a minimum, the best way to to lower the cost of healthcare and to maintain good healthcare for 100% of the population. Canada uses that approach I favor even more than the Canadian approach is the British approach. And I think some other Spain and Portugal, New Zealand, Italy also uses this approach, and that is a national health service. Basically, public money pay into a national insurance system to fund public institutions, meaning that doctors, nurses, the hospitals, the chemists, all of that will all be under government ownership on a federal and state level. I don't think that's a dirty word. I think it works in the UK. Most people I've talked to in the UK like that system. I like that system. I favor a national health service like they have in the UK. They've been having since 1948. Um, I was going somewhere with that. Yeah, but once the Affordable Care Act passed, we were stuck with this. And are there pros and cons? The cons or the negative side of the Affordable Care Act, it kept the major reason why we have medical inflation, which is largely private health insurance companies. I want to get rid of private health insurance companies. Um, they're just awful, evil. They cause a lot of misery, and all you people on the conservative right, and even many of you moderates or corporatists, Democrats that don't favor getting rid of insurance companies, you're foolish and you're conned into thinking that insurance companies is a good thing. It isn't. Um, the idea of forcing you to buy a private product, I have a problem with. I have a problem with the fact that the cost containment that it would take to lower the price of healthcare all across the board has not been addressed properly. And it's because the Republicans forced the Democrats to weaken Affordable Care. A piece of legislation that was inadequate to begin with, the Republicans managed to make it crappier for sort of the Democrats to have them own a shitty piece of legislation. Um, that's the terrible side of it. The positive side of the Affordable Care Act, it theoretically expands healthcare to the entire population. Um, Things such as pre-existing conditions have been, supposed to be removed. I'm not sure where it is at this point, but make a long story short, I think overall the Affordable Care Act stinks, and a lot of my progressive friends look at me weird when I tell them that. I almost wish the Supreme Court several years ago would have repealed it because Medicare is considered constitutional. So you take a public entity like Medicare, expand it to the entire population. I think it will pass a constitutional test probably much easier than the current Affordable Care Act. Um, it was considered an ugly redheaded stepchild issue for the Democrats for many years until Bernie Sanders decided to challenge Hillary Clinton in the 2016 primaries. And all of a sudden, Medicare for All became very popular in the Democratic Party, at least on a rhetorical basis. So much so that in 2020, that quite a few Democrats running for president favor Medicare for All. But I think a lot of them, like Elizabeth Warren, who she's not a stupid woman, but she doesn't really think in terms of how things are done in European society. She has kind of an American exceptionalism mindset, so she didn't fully know what Medicare for All was, and so her explanation of what it was kind of unsatisfactory. Same thing with Kamala Harris, and then she ended up waffling on it. And you had other Democrats. I mean, it used to be Pete Buttigieg was in favor of it. He waffled on it. Even my second favorite Democratic candidate, Tulsi Gabbard, kind of waffled on it. So Bernie Sanders was the only one that remained the real deal when it comes to Medicare for All, and he was the one that was consistent in support of Medicare for All. So and now a lot of Democrats know that Medicare for All is the way to go, and at least on a rhetorical basis, they're less scared of it than they used to be. Um, my question is this: what if, with the appointments of Trump into the Supreme Court, what happens if the Affordable Care Act is finally overturned? I personally don't think it's going to happen. I think that Trump manipulating media, because Trump doesn't think that any bad media is bad media. He thinks that all media is good media. I know his game. I think that he let that leak into the press that he wants the Supreme Court to overturn Obamacare, so he could get his right wing base all hot and bothered and excited. But on the other hand, with this COVID crisis that we have, um, isn't it kind of stupid to do this if you don't favor Medicare for All as an alternative, and you end up reverting to the way things were prior to the Affordable Care Act? And I'm gonna tell everybody, even though I oppose the Affordable Care Act because it was not the right approach, it's still better than what existed prior to it, which was absolutely nothing. So what happens if the Affordable Care Act is repealed prior to this election, and what people having their lives marginally better taken away from them, their health care taken away from them? What happens? Um, I'm not going to say that, oh, that means Joe Biden's going to win the election, because Joe Biden said he would not in any way, shape, or form support Medicare for All. And for all the Democrats that get mad at me for voting third party in presidential elections, healthcare is part of the reason why. Because um, if a Democrat's running and they're not in favor of Medicare for All, why should I support it? It's one of my most important issues. And you know, don't blame me when I vote for Howie Hawkins of the Green Party in November. Howie Hawkins support Medicare for All. This is why I have voted for people like Ralph Nader over the years, and have voted for David McReynolds and Walter Brown, Jill Stein, because um, they favor Medicare for All, single payer health care, and that's what motivates me. So what happens if Trump has this repealed? Um, I believe that people will be clamoring at that point for Medicare for All. At that point, they will be clamoring, let's do it. Let's go with Medicare for All. Now, if people are still scared of Medicare for All after this is repealed, Well, I am less than 11 years away from retirement, so I'm fairly healthy. I don't have cholesterol problems. I don't have diabetes, or I mean, for somebody who's 51 years old currently, I am fairly healthy. I have high blood pressure that's under control with medication. Um, I try to exercise and eat right. I'm not the healthiest person in the world, but I think at my age I'm fairly well. Um, so 51, when I turn 62, start drawing Social Security and get drawing my union pension, I'll just go ahead and I'll move to another country, maybe where there is universal health care. Maybe Australia, maybe the UK, maybe Canada, uh, maybe New Zealand. I don't know. I check my options, but just what happens if we don't have health care, a single payer health care, and people just sit there and smile and take it? I wouldn't be surprised if that is the mindset, that we just sit there and accept it. I mean, it, yeah, I mean, and especially during this COVID crisis, if this is not a case for having national health insurance, Medicare for all, I don't know what is. But anyway, I just want to know your take on it, and if you don't mind, feel free to comment on this. Um, I'm, as I said, there's a part of me said if the Supreme Court overturn it, I would be like, yeah, I'd be like, well, this will motivate American people from all walks of life into to to reacting in the ballot box and making damn sure that another Republicans never elected to the White House, and the Republicans are a marginal party, a small party in Congress. But somehow, um, the further right our government keeps going, the further right the American populace seem to embrace things. So I'm kind of a pessimist in that regard. But anyway, it's just my take. It's just things I'm thinking of at virtually at 6 o'clock in the morning. So and right now I speak in this commentary. So anyway, that's what I have to say about that. Tell me what you think. Feel free to comment. Feel free to press like, subscribe, and remember how YouTube is these days. So I'm urging each and every one of you to press like, comment, and share this commentary among many others. Um, and listen, if you have a point of view, since you're watching YouTube, and I presume that you have an account, and if you don't, create one. Go ahead and create your own account, especially if you're on the left. Create your own account and share your views, and be a muckraker. Let people know your thoughts on matters. And my goal is to get up to 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year. So I can't stress that enough. Please subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Help make this channel grow. I'm Burning Bro. I call myself Burning Bro for a good reason. Burning Bro, as I said, subscribe, like, share. We'll talk soon.